Hello, hello. This is working. You can come on stage. Don't be shy. Zaki, Ty, Ethan. First of all, did you like Cosmoverse? I think despite the bear market, we had around 20% more people. So, yeah, thanks everybody for being here. It really means a lot.
What's your preferred spot?
There's a bear market?
Not in here. Not in here. But yeah, I think this is a fantastic way to end the conference.
Off, I think.
First off, I want to know, like, who had the idea for that? When did that come up? And how did you go about, like, coordinating that? Like, Vishal, was that all your idea?
No, it's a great question. So it was not all my idea, and this actually did come together very recently. So I believe Thyborg came to us with the idea, saying something he's been thinking about, people at Informal are potentially excited about, maybe 2 weeks ago. And then we kind of didn't think about it. We're like, oh, that's exciting, but we'll evaluate it. And then we got kind of busy with development and other stuff going on. And then we met with him on Monday to chat through this, just like have just a drink. And we got more and more excited about it, talked about it more, and we're like, oh, this could really happen. This is really exciting. Could we present this at Cosmoverse? It's something we could talk about all together. We ran by a bunch of other people, yourself included, and then I think it seemed really exciting. We worked really hard over the last couple of days to think about how exactly this might shape out, what this might look like, to get it here today.
Yeah, I really love how this all came about, like literally during the conference. I think that's also why we're doing that, to be honest. I think Cosmoverse is a very productive place where everyone is coming together from the ecosystem, and this is exactly what we want. So I want to ask Ty or Ethan, like, what's been the role for Informal here? What has been your involvement, and what are your general thoughts before we get into specifics? Maybe Ethan, or yeah, whoever wants to start.
Yeah, is my mic on?
Yeah.
So I think, intrinsically, we built intrinsically Informal, and Neutron was the first project to use it. And obviously Neutron is a very exciting project. Big fan of Neutron. They are fully aligned with the hub, like the way they talk, the way they interact, the way they did a big airdrop for the Cosmos hub. But the main feedback from the community the whole time since Neutron has been live is that the alignment is not enough yet. Like, we need to push it a little further here. And if you track the amount of rewards that are being sent to the hub by Neutron, it's still insufficient to have any meaningful impact on the APR for Atom stakers. So I think, with that realization, we realized that it would be a much bigger, a much stronger narrative if all these consumer chains, instead of having their own token, would come back into Atom and fully support Atom and the growth of Atom. And so that's why we discussed a number of projects, including some candidates for consumer chains. Like, it wasn't just Neutron and Stride. It was other chains that we discussed with. We made model for it. We look at what that could look like, and we thought it was possible. We thought that it was realistic. Numbers checked out. We made, actually, for one specific chain, we made a fully fledged proposal that is still in a draft, but we didn't go ahead with this one. But we had a sense of what that would be. And so with Stride, we decided to take a different approach, because all that work essentially was for nothing, because the project didn't go through. And we instead decided to put this as an idea to the community to discuss whether they like the concept. And then obviously the main thing that people will ask is, what's the price? How do you make sure that the developers are incentive aligned? How will they keep working on the hub for a number of years? How will they grow the hub? Why does this make sense for Atom? And so all these details, instead of trying to work them out with Stride from the get-go, I think it's much better to put them into the open and have people first validate the plan, or at least the concept, and then come up with a more precise plan.
Yeah, Vishal, you mentioned in your talk just now that in Cosmos, we could fix liquid staking in Cosmos from the very beginning. Looking at the mistakes or flaws or whatever you want to call it in other ecosystems like Ethereum, there's a lot of centralization around Lido, for example. And I want to ask you, Zaki, you've been an absolute OG in the space. I remember like 2 years ago, we talked about liquid staking on my YouTube channel. I had no clue. You also developed the liquid staking module. So what are your views on that idea, and also specifically around what Vishal mentioned, that we have this alignment from the get-go if we did something like that?
Okay, so 2 years. I spent 2 years writing the liquid staking module, doing it on like nights and weekends at like 2 a.m. in the morning. Finally got it on the hub. The entire design of the liquid staking module is don't enshrine a liquid staking provider. And now we're like talking about enshrining a liquid staking provider. Do I feel like this is some sort of like defeat of the mission of the liquid staking module? I think it's an interesting question. But I do think that there's so I have a couple of points. One is, I think that everything about the evolution of liquid staking has been enormously path dependent about like the shape of the industry. There's nothing about liquid staking that is like sort of fundamental to the nature of blockchains, proof of stake, in terms of like liquid staking economically is fundamental, but like what form it takes is very much dependent on like how markets evolve over time. I think the biggest challenge liquid staking on Cosmos faces right now is that there is now we have an enormous supply of latent capital, but we do not have applications and we do not have sources of leverage to satisfy the demand. Basically any app that launches with liquid staking, staked atom support immediately fills up within a few hours, but we don't have a steady pipeline of new things that are going to. So I'm very open to the idea that at least for the next 2 to 3 years, it might be the right thing to do for the hub to closely align itself with staked atom. But I don't know that staked atom is the last product in the liquid staking market. I don't know that it will be the only successful product. I don't think it's the only category, but the precedent may be helpful because it says that other teams could launch products in the liquid staking space, and if they achieve scale and if they achieve product market fit, they could align with the hub later and might potentially provide a meaningful exit to their investors, and that can be a self-reinforcing cycle for development of liquid staking in Cosmos.
So I think alignment is a big portion, but it's probably also not everything. If we remember the Gravity DEX times, I think there was also this idea to have hub alignment, but we all know how it ended. And I want to ask Ethan, especially also from like a product and like software development contribution standpoint, you guys at Informal, now we have the Neutron team, also to some degree already the Stride team, Inclusions, like a lot of different teams contributing to the hub. Yeah. How would you see a merge with Stride? How would that play out in terms of teams working together, and what are your thoughts on it generally?
Yeah, is this on? Yeah. I think it's great that there's more and more teams that are interested in contributing to the hub. There sort of always has been. And I think the challenge historically was sort of a lack of structure and organizational support to enable that, and also a lack of the right sort of incentive models as well. And so I think what's happening now with the launch of interchain security, and now also with the LSM, there's sort of renewed discussions around what it means to contribute to the hub, how we can have more development teams participate and working together on pushing the hub forward. There's new ways to be able to do that. See, in the past when we had with the Gravity DEX, the only way to really contribute to the hub was to try to land software directly on the hub itself, and that was challenging. And the other challenge with the Gravity DEX was around there was no ability to do like liquidity mining, and so other DEXs were sort of better able to compete. And so it's still the case. So now that we have interchain security, obviously now you can build new features, very advanced, complex features, deploy them under the hub security umbrella, and bring new teams to contribute to the hub. And they don't necessarily have to have their own token, and that's sort of what's exciting about this. Just using Atom as sort of the key token and having the team sort of more closely aligned. But the hub still needs to evolve, I think, mechanisms for better funding development teams and incentivizing them to continue working on sort of core hub work. So we've come a long way from where we were, 2 years ago. But I think we still have more to go. But it's very exciting to see the energy and the commitment from many teams willing to to throw down to push Atom forward. It's inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, hub minimalism is also something that I think the community has been debating back and forth over the years. Some say the hub needs to move faster to remain relevant. Others say we're moving just fast enough, everything will be fine. So, Michael, I don't know who wants to take this, but how would this affect this ethos or this idea of hub minimalism? And what are your general thoughts about the positioning of the hub? Like, do you think, I don't know, shared security is enough? Do you think there should be more features? And what are your thoughts about that? I don't know who wants to.
I think back in the days, and Ethan can confirm, there was this concept of fast hub, slow hub. So the slow hub is the actual Cosmos hub. That's Gaia. That's the one that doesn't change much, that does all the regular upgrades, but that stays like this stable anchor in a trashing feed. There was a great blog post about that. And then you would have the fast hubs. You would have the Strides for liquid staking hub. You would have Neutron as a smart contrast permissionless platform hub. You would have, and that's what I'm hoping, we get other hubs that join the actual Cosmos hub and the AAZ. I'm envisioning about 5 to 10 consumer chains following that model. And each of them have a very specific purpose. They are products that have product market fit in crypto, so they have proven themselves. Not just in Cosmos, but also the concept of liquid staking has found product market fits on Ethereum. The concept of NFTs has found some sort of product market fits pretty much everywhere, on Solana at the very least. And so the idea would be to have 5, maybe a little bit more of these core products owned by the Cosmos Hub and that are fully aligned, accruing value back to the Cosmos Hub.
I want to ask Vishal directly. So you just said you're proposing this idea for a merge. Can you maybe more specifically explain what how that would look like? Does it mean the Stride token would just go away, or how does that look like? How does that whole merge work?
Yeah, it's a great question. And want to start off by saying this is just my idea of how this could work, but if the community feels differently, this is ultimately up for vote for both the Stride and the Hub community to be aligned on. Our idea was that the Stride team definitely wouldn't go away. I think we really love this product, we love this space, we want to really take it to make sure it becomes a huge success. So what we were thinking is all the existing Stride basically gets burned, so the Stride token no longer exists. It gets replaced by Atom, so there'd be newly provisioned Atom, that Atom would replace all the existing Stride, and then the devs and BD team, the contributors who work on the Stride protocol, they would switch to working on the Cosmos Hub, whatever Cosmos Hub governance decides is best. In my mind, I think that's probably taking liquid staking. They'd be in charge of the Stride protocol still, but all the value of the protocol would accrue back to the Cosmos Hub. And we'd have to agree on some sort of vesting schedule and KPIs to hit, but make sure the team is actually aligned and that they will deliver and not just, check out.
And I know, Ty, you've been working a lot on consumer chain onboarding. What does this mean for you? Let's say proposal goes on chain, community is very hyped about it, it goes through. Do you think this would set the standard for other existing consumer chains? Well, there's just one right now. Or other chains that are in production right now that are exploring to migrate. Yeah. Do you think that it might even make sense for others to explore a similar solution?
Absolutely. This is a bit controversial, right? This is just my opinion. But I don't think the hub should accept consumer chains that do not fully align with Atom going forward. So I think it should be a requirement, and I'm very glad Neutron launched this way. And Neutron is a bit special as a smart contract platform. They do need liquidity incentives, and I'm glad there's a Neutron token. And maybe there will be a time to also get Neutron back on Atom. But my suggestion is that the new consumer chain always launch without a token, and fully align with Atom the same way that Stride would be. And so that's why this is important, because it sets the stage. I would say now there's momentum for it. Now there's a precedent. So the first precedent was supposed to be Duality. Duality had this a similar idea. Duality decided to merge with Neutron, which was a good thing in terms of not overloading the validator set of the Cosmos Hub too fast. That's fine. But going forward, in my opinion, new consumer chains should not use their own token.
Do you have any thoughts, Ethan, on that?
Yeah, I think I'm generally supportive of that. I think we're seeing that model be adopted more widely across the blockchain ecosystem. We see a lot of rollups launching without tokens, and maybe introducing them later as things as activity picks up, or they get some sense of product market fit. So I think a similar kind of idea makes sense here. That's not to say there won't ever be new tokens introduced, but we should be very careful about when they are introduced. And in the meantime, I think as the Atom community, we ought to really focus on making sure that the Cosmos Hub is able to properly incentivize development teams and consumer chains to come in and to align. And so, I think that's a very interesting model, and it's exciting to see Stride kind of recognize that, and hopefully future consumer chains as well. Yeah.
I just want to add that it's not a crazy idea, right? Like Arbitrum launched without a token.
Yeah.
Optimism did. Scroll, Stockware, like none of these projects have a liquid token. And so people used all of these, came to all of these rollups because they were maybe expect tokens. That was the case for Opti and Arbitrum. But at least until these projects find product market fit, they can still raise money. You can still raise money against equity. Like it doesn't prevent them from having investors at all. There's many successful projects in Cosmos that don't have a token. Skip is a prime example of that. A very successful team. They raised millions. And they were able to they're building right now a great product without having to have their own token and without having to focus on that and deal with all the complexity that come out of it.
How much risk do you guys feel like there is in the immaturity of Cosmos governance in terms of being able to execute things like this?
Yeah, it's a great question. And honestly, I think this is something that we really want to fix, even independent of this. But the Gov module is really great. It works really well. But it's lacking a lot of pretty key functionality. Like a clear example of this, people note veto all the time. Note veto has just become an extra dislike this, despite what it should be, which is like this is spam. And there's all sorts of things that you can't do, like ranked choice voting or vote for 4 options. Yeah. So I think we should overhaul hub governance, maybe do some way to make it more scalable. One potential option we're thinking about, but this doesn't have to be the way this goes, but would be you stake your Atom, you can vote on the Cosmos Hub. But if you want to, you can also stake your tokens to either Neutron or Stride or other consumer chains, and then you can vote only on that chain. So for example, you stake with Stride, you can vote on Hub and Stride votes, but not Neutron votes. But then you can also choose to stake with Neutron, you can go to Hub and Neutron votes. I'm not saying this has to be how it is, but this is like one potential change we could imagine.
So I think to wrap it up, maybe Vishal, can you talk about the next steps? There's a proposal going live right now on the forum, is that right?
Yeah, so Informal and Stride have worked together on a post that kind of outlines part of this vision and what this might look like. That's going to go up on the forum shortly later, maybe in the next hour or so. And then we'd love to hear your feedback, both in person here, on the forum for more like official feedback, and then on Twitter too, which is where a lot of the Cosmos governance actually takes place. We'll probably have Twitter spaces over the next few weeks to talk about this. Love to hear your threads, tag us. We want this to be pretty organic, and really do want to hear your honest thoughts. If you're excited, if you're nervous, if you're concerned, if there are any changes you might want to see, if you're like, oh, we should actually do Stride and this other chain. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's really in the Cosmos spirit, that this is not an announcement, but this is actually a proposal, an idea for all of you to provide feedback and provide your input. I think this is very unique in Cosmos, that it's a very bottom-up and inclusive ecosystem. So my final question, Zaki and Ethan, last year we had a similar panel in Medellin, Colombia, where we talked about Atom 2.0. Today the title of the panel is Stride, Handshake, Cosmos Hub. What's the title for our panel next year?
Atom 3.0.
Atom 3.0?
No. I don't know.
Where do you think the hub is standing?
So
Okay.
I guess my vision and my hope would be that actually hub governance gets to the point where you don't need us to shepherd a big decision, right?
Yeah.
That's the weakness of hub governance is that there is no clear representative of the Cosmos hub, and so you have me and Ethan and various other people kind of step in and be okay, we will be the main character for another season of Cosmos drama, and this is the problem, right? And what we need is a forcing function to get beyond the simplistic governance that Sunny wrote and that we've been living with since the hub launch, to like a governance that can like actually create like a committee of people who would be like responsible for figuring something like this out.
Yeah.
And I can confirm, like as an organizer for Cosmoverse, it was really hard to get Zaki on stage this year. So, but yeah, any final words?
I was going to suggest for next year Cosmos Hub, Handshake, Ethereum.
Yeah,
There we go. Okay, so thank you so much.